Hello and happy Wednesday. Welcome to Church at Home with Rachel. My name is Rachel Parker and I am an Anglican priest in Alberta, Canada, and I host these little Church at Homes with Rachel Monday through Friday and mini worships on Sunday. Glad you could join us today. I was reading a while back, in sort of almost a month ago, early April, from these little devotional books. They're called, let me see if I can find the cover, from Our Daily Bread. They're little books that have scripture passages and little write-ups that people use. And this one's from April 9th. And it talks about the Chatty Bus. I'll just read a little bit. In 2019, the Oxford Bus Company launched the instantly popular Chatty Bus, a bus with designated people on board willing to talk with interested passengers. The route was initiated in response to government research which found that 30% of Britons go at least one day each week without a meaningful conversation. Many of us have likely experienced the loneliness that comes from not having someone to talk to in a time of need. And as the author reflects on the value of important conversations in her life, she's sure especially reminded of discussions that were full of grace. Those times brought her joy and encouragement, and they helped to cultivate deeper relationships. The Chatty Bus. A lot has happened in the last couple of years where we've had to disconnect from people for the good of our own health and the good of theirs. But there's a sense, I think, that we've lost this ability to chat. That, the basics of witty repertoire and being able to just, shoot the shite with people. I can't believe I just said that on TV, on video, but, just be able to chat with people and not have to go deep into meaningful conversations unless both people want to, but being able to just have a conversation with someone else that you got, get off the bus or, out of the coffee shop or wherever you are and feel like, hey, that was a great interaction. And so that's really cool that not only that they did the study that in Great Britain, they did the study to find out that people are indeed missing those opportunities for significant interactions, but they came up with such a neat way of dealing with it. I don't know whether the Chatty Bus is still running, but what a cool idea. What an absolutely cool idea. I am not I'm a people person. I like people, but I like people in small doses. I'm an introvert, so I don't like chatting. You can't talk. You can't tell, can you? But I'm not a big small talk person. Like, you're not going to get me in the corner in a party and get all kinds of great giggles and everything. I tend to go for conversations, go deep and hard. Like, I go for, what is the meaning of life kind of questions, which usually pushes people away from me because, like, she's a party pooper. You don't want to talk to her. She's going to bring you down, which may be my introverted self-defense mechanism. Hadn't thought of that. But I'm really bad at small talk, at chit-chat. And there's something to be said for just being comfortable enough to be able to do that. And now maybe it's the introverted part of me that has the issue with that. I don't know. But you know what? It's hard. It can be very hard to do things like be on public transit or standing in an elevator, especially if the elevator is going for like 25 floors or it's stuck or something. It's hard to stand in silence, even if you are an introvert. I find that, there's like a need to say something. And maybe that need to say something isn't just to not have dead space, not to have quiet time, but maybe it's a need to be in interactions, to be able to reach out to another human being and be able to connect with them in some way, shape, or form, even if it's just for a moment. I mean, there's a poem out there, and it's not my favorite out there, but there's this lines of something like, people come into our lives. Sometimes they come in for just a moment, sometimes for a season, and sometimes forever. And they play a purpose. There's a reason why it was only for that long, or it is that long. And maybe that's more true than I would like to realize. Maybe we all have those times in our lives where we don't really need a best friend forever. And we don't need someone to walk with us through a season of life, but we just need somebody for a week or a day or 2 minutes on the elevator. Somebody who can chat with us and help us to recognize that we are social beings. As humans, we are social beings. Even those introverted, like seriously introverted ones of us, need people to talk to. And other people need to be able to talk to someone else as well. And, maybe that's a really important thing in our world, that we need to recognize that we can't do this on our own. We know that we are interdependent. We can't have food on our own. Yes, in the pandemic, we learned how to make sourdough starter for bread, and all those things, but we still needed flour, and we still needed all of the makings for that sourdough starter, and we still needed electricity for our ovens and people to share the bread with. We need gas in our cars and the vehicles we drive. We still, even though we were locked down or locked in or socially distancing for a couple of years or more, it seems now, we have to recognize that we weren't completely independent. We were interdependent, even if we were being interdependent from a distance. And that's something I think that we need to get back. We need to get back to becoming more cognizant of our interdependence. Not that we're fully dependent on anyone else. That's not healthy either. But we need to recognize that we need each other. We need extroverts, need introverts, because we'll listen. Introverts need extroverts because it means we don't have to talk. We need one another. We need people who will talk to us and just chat. Sometimes we might be the chatty patty on the bus who's just chatting away and talking about the weather or whatever's happening. And sometimes we might be the person who really needs to listen. There's also the other party, though. So there's the person who chats and the person who listens. But there's also that person who's observing. Maybe they've got their face in a newspaper, reading a book, or their iPod, their iPhone, their earphones in their ears, their buds in their ears. But even as long as they've got their eyes open, they're going to notice what's happening. And they're going to see that there are people interacting around them. And it's a reminder that we are not islands unto ourselves, islands in the stream. We are individuals who, almost like a pinball machine, I think, that we bounce off each other. And each person we bounce off of sends us in a new direction and sends us maybe toward our goal, or maybe throws us off on a completely different path, or sends us right back to the beginning. I apologize. My dog is having a heyday on the floor below me. He's making all kinds of weird noises, so just ignore Dude today. But we need one another to be able to live our lives. And having a chatty bus or a corner in a library, maybe where, you've got, in libraries, you often have those places where there's comfortable chairs and silence and people gather and read their books or newspaper or something. But even to have a room that is intentionally for people who want to talk, that if you go into that room, people will know you're in there because you want to chat. So even if you go in by yourself, somebody else could walk by and say, hey, there's somebody in there. I'm going to go in and have a talk. And just, talk about the weather, or talk about what book they're reading, or how life is going, or whatever's going on, politics, who knows. But I think we need to have some designated ways of helping people know that they can either go and fulfill their need to talk, or fulfill their need to be talked to. Just a thought. What do you think? Designated talking areas in libraries, or gathering spaces in public buildings like churches or vestibules or waiting rooms. And then the flip side of that, maybe we need to also have a designated space, like libraries often do, of quiet spaces, or, like a sign that says, if you're sitting in a blue chair, be prepared to be talked to. If you're sitting in a purple chair, people know that you just want to be by yourself. I don't know. But just the idea that we need other people around us, and we need other people to talk to. I think that chatty bus idea is fantastic. For those cities that have public transit, maybe they could do that. Maybe they could have volunteer senior citizens who are retired, be the chatty person. Wear a sign that says, "Hi, my name is Chatty Bob. How are you today?" or something. I don't know. But then the call is, then how do we do the same thing in the smaller communities where we don't have such things as public transit? Maybe we have park benches. We have buddy systems. I don't know. Just a thought. It's just something to think about. Maybe possibilities of being able, what can you do today to go out and chat with somebody else? Or if you need somebody to chat with, if you haven't talked to anybody in a couple of days, who can you reach out to that you could have that need in you fulfilled, and maybe fulfill a need for them as well. So think about that. And if you have any great ideas about how we could implement things like that in big cities or small towns and villages or rural areas, let me know, because I'm always on the lookout for great ideas. Have a wonderful day. God bless you. And I will see you again tomorrow, Thursday, for Church at Home with Rachel.